Yeah, I mean, what can you do about a situation like Zek, man? That's like an act of the gods, isn't it? The
Mate,
developers up and fuck off. You know?
it's crypto, man. Like, so obviously this is another reminder of risk management. Don't go
Yeah.
all in one fucking coin or stuff, or you go too big too soon, things like that. We've been talking about it, right? Like we've
Mm-hmm.
been talking about it like before. Like I've been opening positions, but low risk
Hmm.
before the fucking we break that range because we're still in a range. But man, let's get it started. I think people will join in
Yeah.
now. How you guys
Because
doing?
funny enough, the that Zek is it's a privacy coin, isn't it?
It is,
And it's
yes,
a it's
yes,
a it's a privacy coin that tacks onto Bitcoin, doesn't it?
yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So isn't that interesting? That kind of privacy sector, something that's got this kind of allure of safety and security and
In a way,
yeah.
like that's a narrative that I'm following. So I'll go through stuff that I've been doing a little bit of research, right? Obviously, I don't have any coins or anything. I'm just kind of looking for what could be the narratives going through this because obviously markets, even though it's getting exciting, I don't need to time myself to just get out of the charts. Otherwise, I'll be buying everything that I can at the moment.
Yeah.
You get really really emotional. One thing is start going up because you think is going to break that range. We'll
Mhm.
go through that stuff, right? But besides that, yeah,
I mean, I think it was maybe it was a week ago, maybe it was last week when or the week before last, when you put a couple of orders on to try and front run
yep,
Bitcoin and you explained everything, if you know what I mean. Well, I'm guessing it can be easy to then become a bit trigger happy. Next time you see a bit of glimmer in Bitcoin, thinking, should I front run it again? Like we're in this range, yes, but now we're in the top half of this range. We haven't slid
yes,
back down, so hang
yes,
on a minute, and we've printed another upside wick that is a bit higher than the last. Or maybe we should front run it again. Like that could
yes.
be something that, you know,
So obviously, let's go. Hey, how you guys doing? How you guys? Let's go through everything now, and because I think
I've
that's a
just
good
got to
set.
kick Kevin off the call. He won't stop taking the piss because sorry,
All right.
Maurizio.
No worries, guys. So, okay,
Blame
let's
Kevin.
first of all, I want to ask you, how do you guys feel today? How do you guys see crypto? Um, for the last, like, we are pretty much in the second week of 2026.
Mhm.
So I just, before I open my mouth and start doing I just want to see where you guys at. What are you guys thinking? Are we in a good
Mhm.
level? Is everything's gonna fucking crash? Everything's gonna go to the moon? Everything's gonna range? What you reckon? Like,
I think there might be some influence in the crowd for people that saw Scott's presentation on Friday, where he spoke about potentially Bitcoin. We're seeing Bitcoin decouple from alts.
I haven't watched Scott's video,
It's just
so
he
I'm
just talks about it briefly at the beginning,
okay.
which
Fair
is
enough.
which is something you've been talking about in a roundabout way for a long time. It's a different market. The ETFs are involved. It's not a retail market anymore. It's
I
a
know.
it's a different kind of market. And at the moment, it doesn't look like, other than like Sol and a few others, that the institutions are looking at the alts and going, yeah, yeah, there's big money there.
Yep.
But maybe they
Yep.
will.
Yep.
But
Correct.
that's just
So
conjecture.
yeah, so I'm gonna go through the positions that we had. And let's see. So, all right, we were chatting with Ian in terms of the positions that we open. And remember that we said keep your risk low before we actually break. We trying to front run the run, right? So we're trying to get position before it happens. Based on what? It's not a feeling. It's not, well, a feeling could be, but we've been seeing a lot of CV. I'm not sharing the screen. Give me 1 second. All right. So essentially, let's start with Bitcoin. What I'm seeing and why I'm start opening positions. And it might get volatile, but it's still the CVD volume, right? Here's what I'm seeing. So this is the run that we started, right? Taking some positions around here. And the reason why is obviously we see a lot of confluence when CVD, the CVD in spot volume starts going up. What that means in layman terms is basically people buying a spot. And that's what you want to see. And why I want to see that, because this is becoming one of the biggest sort of prominent markers, just because not only you want to go with the big money is, and the big money usually is in ETFs, and ETFs, they're not buying perps. ETFs more than likely are going to buy spot, right? Any ETF is going to, because if they buy perps, they could get liquidated, and essentially an ETF, it will track the spot market and essentially needs to actually provide the spot buying through the ETF sort of deal, right? Not only that, obviously that's what whenever you buy spot, right, you just want to hold for a while, right? So you don't care if you get whipsaw, 10% up, 10% down, 20% up, 20% down, right? Because crypto is very volatile. But then at the end of the day, if you hold spot, then that's a good sign of that the price is at a good level to start buying, right? Perhaps it's another scenario, because obviously there's a lot of stop loss hunting, things like that. So it's a tricky game. So this is the biggest sort of thing that I want to talk about today, because obviously we came back. Like let's start with give me 1 second. Where's my? Give me 1 second. Let me just stop the sharing for just 1 second. All right, here is my screen. All right. So on Friday, I did talk about this level here. That was the trade that I was thinking on Friday, right? I don't know if you guys watched the video or not. I didn't end up not taking the trade. I saw a lot of selling at the end of my session, which is the Asian session, let's say London, and being a Friday, I decided not to go in, but I still have my levels there. That was the trade that I was going to take. If I would have taken that trade, yeah, I would be on the, but we still sort of like at break even. So we still have an opportunity to take this trade. I think I might, based on what I'm going to talk about today. So I was doing a little bit of research. So before I show you what I have, what do you guys think right now? Let's start with our probabilities, right? Obviously now you're biased because you know that I'm going to take a long, but I want to hear your thoughts. Do you think this is going to break now? Is going to keep range? One. There we go. It's going to do this. It's going to do that, or it's going to do this. What I mean, maybe this is like that, right? Sort of range. So we have 3 probabilities. Let's go probability number 1. Probability number 1 is we finally have this fucking breakout that we've been waiting for. So that's option number 1. How many of you think that's going to happen, let's say this week? Let's put a time frame on it. Obviously time is irrelevant, because this could happen in a day and then it could come back, right? This could happen in a week and then it could come back, right? Based on what we're aiming for. Todd, you say not yet. John says yes. Get excited that lay down 2, stay in the range for a while. Okay, sweet. What are you eating? Ian, where are you at, mate? 10% chance of breakout, Marlon?
I think we're just going to slop about in the middle of the range. So I'm going 80% middle of the range, 10% breakout to either upside or downside.
Okay, perfect. All right, 80. All right. So you could, like, technically we are in the middle of a range right now, right? Like if we take, for instance, what the range values are, the top range, we're talking about 94,700, give or take, right? That area. And let's say below, we can actually say that is this level around here, right? That's the bottom of the range, give it a take, right? I wouldn't go as down as here because obviously that level here hasn't been touched for a while. So the one that actually been touched several times is this one here, right? Bang, bang, and that was sort of the kickoff level price in December, and we haven't actually retested this low. So in my view, that's my lows. That's the range. That's my range low, which is 84,000, right? Todd, I definitely agree, man. I'm actually doing it on my because obviously you have to think about what's your main goal. So obviously the whole aim of this is actually to catch the big moves and set your portfolio. But on my scalping is great, man, because obviously you can scalp the ranges, right? Short, long, short, long. But that's for more experienced people. You know what I mean? Like if I start shorting here and think about it, if I send a signal that I'm going to short here, people maybe is going to sell everything, sell everything on the spot and everything. So I have, in terms of long term, I'm still very biased long term towards the upside. So that's kind of the kick that I want to highlight the difference of trading, right? So so essentially, yeah, we're going. So basically, what I want to find out is, okay, this level is holding. Who's in control, right? As always, like, are Peps in control or Sport is in control? I have no fucking clue who's in control, right? If I have no clue, then just come back next week or come back next day or whatever. Before we go further, let's do the weekly. All right. Let's do the weekly. And from this perspective, right, we just close on a weekly here, right? But this weekly is you can actually see that we close above this sort of range here, right? Like this level here. So that to me sort of interesting, right? Because obviously we haven't, like, there is buying. What we're trying to find out is, are buyers or sellers? Like, if no one is interested in buying, show the market. If a lot of people is interested in buying, just go fucking long. That's kind of the whole game in a nutshell, right? If you summarize everything. So if you look at from the weekly perspective, right? The weekly perspective, let me make this bigger. And let me just delete this trade. We haven't taken, so we're just going to withdraw it again anyway. So what do you guys reckon from the weekly perspective?
I was just saying good morning to my wife, Maurizio. I've got a couple of qualifying questions. I'll try and make them really succinct. So, our number one job as a trader then is to figure out who's in charge of the market
and go with it. That's it.
And then go with it.
Because that's been, I've been going through my notes, especially on New Year's, right? It's really good that you sort of set up your goals and stuff like that. And one of my goals is actually to go back of all my trades last year and read, like, I do have a journal and also relearn. Okay. I think one of the biggest mistakes is, being biased, right? Towards long or towards short. Are we going to explode or are we going to go, well, crypto is dead? So as a trader, right, my main goal is identifying that and go with it. I don't going to give a fuck if it's long, if it's short. I'm just going to go where the people are, what the people are doing. And that's, if you're able to change your mindset around it, I think you're going to become a really proficient trader. You know what I mean? And because then your brain is no more biased to say, oh, we're going to the moon, like crypto bros shit. You know what I mean? Like no, you just say, okay, where the market's at, where the buyers at, where the sellers at, who's in control, and let's go with them. You know what I mean? Like, as simple as that. Sounds simple, but it's not as simple. But I hope you get the idea. You know what I mean? Like,
No, I do get the idea, man. It's like simplicity is it's the final elegance, and I think that YF10K is an example of simplicity, and
and
obviously you can test it, you can tweak it, you can add 5 minutes on, you can do this, yes, you can do all of that infinitely.
yep.
But the
But
actual thing is this, and this, and you don't need to do anything else. And moving away from YF10K, I get it. That can be difficult. I sit down, you've got that emotion, whether you know it's there or not, or whether it's a bit further away, that kind of emotion is there, maybe mixed in a little bit of gambler's fallacy still. That stuff's got to be put to the side. And then
mhm,
who's in charge today? Like, not am I looking at this trying to find what I want to see? Or
exactly.
am I looking at this going, the Bears are in charge, the Bulls are in,
Exactly.
you know?
And that's why, when I ask you, just, whenever you have a thesis, flip the chart. And when you flip the chart, then I
Mm,
always do and say, fuck, hold
mm,
on. You know what I mean? Like, I'm getting too excited
mm,
here.
mm.
Stuff like
But
that.
let's take this weekly candle, for example.
Yeah.
It's the start of the week, and then we've just got this spectrum of traders that are going to do stuff this week.
Yep.
So some traders will look at this weekly candle and say, you know what? I'm not doing anything. I'm not going to touch the computer again. I'm going to wait the entire week and
Yep.
see where this finishes, then make my decision. Somebody
Yep.
else is going to look at the daily, somebody else the 4 hour, the 2 hour, and everybody's going to fire their bets on there, and everybody thinks they're right.
Exactly. And obviously that's where you get beaten. I've been beaten, man, so many times. And
Mm,
that's part of my development, right? As being in the market pretty much fucking 24/7, which I want to step away from, by the way, right?
mm,
Because I want
mm,
to make it simple. However, making it simple doesn't mean easy.
mm,
You know what I mean? Like, that's where I'm at the moment. But I'm working towards, and if I don't, I have it on my wall. Because if I don't focus on it, it's never gonna happen.
yeah,
Yeah, you know what I mean?
exactly. I mean, if I can, I'll mute again and let you carry on. But just as a final anecdote to this, everybody knows that I enjoy playing poker, and got a poker coach and that. So when I kind of first started out, and there'd be an ace that had dropped into the middle community cards, and I'd be holding two kings, I'd still lose all my money. Well, there's a chance. There's a chance he's betting, but he hasn't got that ace. And the coach would just look at me and go, he's got it, Ian. And it's as simple as that. But that ability to be, you see those kings, you think, fucking hell, here we go.
Mm,
Right? And then the situation changes when an ace comes, but you don't want to accept that, you know? But it's simple, isn't it, Ian? You just fold. Yeah, but. And that's all
yeah,
risk to reward, gambler fallacy, emotion, all that bullshit that's just clouding that clinical.
correct. And I could be completely, what I mean, wrong on several times, yes, but more than likely, um, can go through the logs and the trades that we've taken. We've been wrong so many times, but when we're right, and we write that thing fucking and we add more, and you know what I mean, like, you, so it's just
Who
the
can
matter.
lose the best is the game. How well can you take losing,
Oh man,
And just
yeah,
just accept I did everything right and the developers walked out of Zcash.
right. Let's go through that setup, because obviously,
That
um,
outcome is separate from the trading decisions that you made.
I went back and say, am I happy with the trade that I took? And I say, yes, I still am. And that was the one that I actually have with the bigger risk. And it is what it is. You know what I mean? That's why when you trade perps, and let's make this distinction, right? When you trade perps, you do need some sort of hard invalidation, hard stop loss, a stop loss. Why? And you need to risk accordingly. Otherwise, uh, you're gonna get fucked. That account is gonna get fucked, right? That as simple as that. Spot is a different story. Spot is a long-term investment that you hold into a different thesis, right? The price action could be wrong or could be shit, but the fundamentals of the project, things like that, could explode at some level. So that's why, and make sure if you're new here, right? Spot we don't have stop losses, right? We sometimes add into losers because it's a different thesis that we play with, right? Which perhaps I don't ever add into a loser ever on perps. Okay, have that distinction. Okay, I add into winners on perps, but not on spot. So be very careful with that. All right, let's move on with this. So anyway, where was I? Bitcoin. Yes. Okay. So Bitcoin, this is kind of an interesting level, right? Of the weekly. Obviously, this is the first week that the level was able to hold above this. That's significant in a way, right? So this is the first week of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks. Sorry, no, of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks that finally the price has been holding above 91,000. Is that fair to say? Yep. Do you guys see that? All right. So with that being said, now we have to answer why, right? Is this interesting? Is this going to crash again? Or okay. So now we go back to CVD and all that shit that we always look, right? And let me see what I'm seeing. Let me tell you what I'm seeing, right? Obviously, you might disagree, but I might change. The thesis could change dramatically because the problem right now with crypto is if you get a massive sell-off, right? Price could actually crash until the next level. Okay, what I mean crash is there's always going to be levels, right? That buyers are willing to buy a certain price. That's a market, that's auction theory, that's anything, right? So have that in mind, right? So with that being said, the first time, like the first influx of buyers, right, came around here. Not really. They actually came around here, right? The first influx of buyers, of CVD buyers. I'm not talking about price action. I'm talking about buyers. As you can see here, you can actually see them. There was some buying power here, but this buying power was not able to push the market to the upside. This was holding. Here, I can see where the market sort of had a lift off based on this buying here. And I'm talking about 30-minute time, guys, which is a very small time frame. But then essentially 30 minutes time frame will actually translate into 4 hours. 4 hours will translate into 12 hours. 12 hours will translate into daily into a weekly into a monthly, and that's how fucking trends develop in a way. So that's why, this is a very narrow-minded in a way, not because everything is going well in 30 minutes is going to sustain. So have that in mind as well, right? So this is the beginning of which, as a trader, I want to catch the beginning in a way. I want to be with the best possible risk-reward ratio in order to catch whatever move. That's why I watch the 30 minutes, right? We can actually do daily and wait for weeks for trades and things like that. That can actually be okay, but then give you a little bit of mindset of what I'm doing behind it. So with that being said, what you can see here is at this level, this is a significant level. This is the first time that we have liftoff on Bitcoin with CVD volume coming through. That happened on the 3rd of January, right? So I'm going to mark this level as a significant from that perspective, okay? So 89,670. Talk about the 90,000 range, right? Significant. Now, the next level in where spots are not willing to hold any longer, in a way, right? The trick with this is that this is, let me put, I'm just trying to think of the best way to translate this to you guys. It's very tough, not because this is dropping dramatically. You don't know that everybody's selling at the same time. You're seeing a lot of negative CVD volume. That means a lot of sell-offs, but you don't know who is selling. You don't know if people, you don't know if the people that bought here are the ones that are selling here. You don't know. You don't know that people that bought here are selling here. You have no idea. Or you don't know if people that bought in, I don't know, 2 years ago are the ones that are actually selling here. Very important distinction, okay? Because I've seen stuff in the chat about CVD and shit like that. So I want to clarify this. These are tools to give you an indication what is happening at the moment, but that you have no idea that the ones that bought here are selling here. You don't know. You only see volume, but you don't know who is there. Okay. So that being said, you see significant selling on spot, right? At what level? So I will say that the significant happen around here, right? I will say that this 92 range is also important, right? Okay, so that's important. And now what we're seeing here, so what do you guys see now? Look, I'm getting better in drawing this yeah, in this the dick drawings of Scott, man. See, this is like unconsciously it just happened, man. Look at that.
Mm.
So what are we seeing here? Let me
Well,
ask you.
these candles on all three charts are suddenly looking really small, like the volatility has gone from them. And we're just printing these really small candles, which gives them this kind of smooth effect. So we can see price. Well, I think everything is moving up in the direction that we want, but it seems to be low volatility, you know, and very slowly eking up.
Yes, but what are you seeing here?
Well, that CVD is increasing, and that's people buying the real coin on spot.
Exactly, exactly. So the interesting thing, if
And
you
sorry,
go,
Maurizio, it doesn't
yep,
on the bottom chart, the final box. Does that also mean whilst these spot buying's going up, that's a load of shorts that are getting liquidated there?
exactly. I'm going to talk about
Right.
two things here
Okay.
that are being sort of setting up, right? And one of the things here is if you have a look at this, right? So there is sort of like a divergency happening, right? When the sell-offs, right,
Hmm.
did not or were not able to bring the price down lower than the price that it has the significant influx at the beginning of the year,
Right.
right? This is what I am paying attention now. Why? Why this is important? Because it looks like now we finally have some data to prove that at least 90K is a really good buying opportunity for spot buyers. Because happened here, we had a significant drop of volume, and then on the same level, we have a significant amount of buyers again. So 90K seems to be a good you know, level to hold. Like it's like in terms of value, or people say if I 90K it goes back to 90K, I'll buy, or shit like that, right? That you can actually make up in your head to whatever value it is. So that's on the spot side. Now let's talk about the perp side. Okay, so on the perp, sorry, on the perp side, right? As everything you was selling, you notice a huge amount of shorts opening. Bam, 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 bam. This is shorts. This is so it's a combination of selling plus shorts. Okay. Now you start seeing a lot of liquidations to the bottom for the people that actually went long, right? And say we're ready to go to the moon, and then they were wrong because the shorts are sort of controlling the market, right?
Price is dropping and more short contracts are opening as price is dropping.
Exactly.
So
Now,
longs are getting liquidated or longs are switching their position to short.
you don't know. Have no idea.
Right.
I don't think they're switching, because if you think about it from the perspective, let's go back to the definition of what the open interest is. Open interest is the amount of contracts being open at the moment, period.
Mhm.
Don't know if you're longs, don't know if you're shorts. You're trying to figure it out with price action. If they're longs or short, you can actually use funding rates for that as well, but that gets complicated. So let's not go into that. Now, on Friday, this is on Friday. Yeah, what was Friday? What was the date on Friday? The 9th? That's why,
9.
yeah, that was on Friday. That's why I was very close to start opening stuff on Bitcoin again, because I start noticing that you start seeing this decrease on open interest. But what is the most current open interest that's being open? You can actually see shorts being open. So if you start seeing these price holding CVD come through, you mean like that's probably I will say 85% chance that all shorts are closing positions. So if shorts are closing positions, are going to be very, very easy for price to move up explosively. There's no selling pressure around these levels here. Maybe more selling pressure will come back at 94 level, but for the time being, that's what I'm seeing. So that's why I think I'm very tempted to open a trade on Bitcoin. Where? Let's analyze. Let's go back to the daily, right? So from the daily, yeah, on Friday, that was Thursday, that's right. Friday, I was very tempted to open it there. I'm pretty much at the same level that I was on Friday, to be honest. Stop loss, you can either go below this level here, the 83,000, right? But I'm aiming, the aim, I'm still haven't changed my thesis around the 100K level, right? So I'm aiming this is as my first target, right? The trick here is how do you size, right? How do you size? This is going to be the breakout. Is this going to stop at 94, give or take, like it happened before, right? So all those things you need to be aware of, right? Is this going to search for another low here? So for the time being, what I'm seeing is it might not. So the week might be positive, right? According to this. And there is another positive news that happened. There was the ruling thing for the court in the US for Trump tariffs, and nothing happened there. So that's actually very positive for the markets. So that's actually is going to sustain perhaps this week being positive. So that's my thesis so far for the week. Can that change tomorrow? Yes, it could. What's the difference? Like, how is that going to change, or what do you need to be in the lookout for the thesis to change when you start seeing a lot of shorts opening here? How do you know shorts are going to be opening here? Because you're going to see a lot of a spike of here and price moving down. and we're not seeing that yet. Yet, I'm not saying that it won't. I'm not saying it will. So obviously, that's kind of the intricacies of looking at the fucking market on small time frames. You know what I mean? Like that's the way it is. So for the time being, I'm bullish, right? I don't want to predict if we want to break that, but this is the second time that there is significant volume buying at 90. And another thing that I do like to see is the front running of those levels. So if you have a look at this level here, right? Is that the same? Is that horizontal? Is that line? All right. So if we take, for instance, these lows here, okay, as a reference point, and this is the lowest of this 30-minute candle, which is 3rd of June and 18 hours, that's 89,221. What I want to see if it is a real sort of, I'm not going to say bull run, I'm just going to say influx towards breaking that level 94, right? Is front running. What front running means is people anticipating levels, right? Thinking that, they're going to miss the boat. And I'm starting to see that behavior here. So obviously this is the first time it did not touch by a tick. So it was front run, and we've been front running in a way, right? On the 30-minute sort of deal. So this for me is a little bit of significant based on that, right? Think about it on the front running thesis, and if you really want something and you think it's going to, you tend to bet a little bit more for it, right? You think to, like, psychological speaking, you say, oh fuck, it is at, let's say I wanted to pay 89, but it's at 89, 800. Yeah, I go, let's buy it. You know what I mean? I don't, that's the psychology of the front running on any situation, up and down. Okay. And that's when you start seeing wicks, that's the psychology of a candle wick. So that's my thesis, at least for this week. Okay. So why do I start with this? Because now I can start seeing, okay, what's my positioning on other alts, right? Because obviously if Bitcoin explode, definitely, then alts are going to outperform, right? So now let's before we go into alts, let's do Ethereum as well. So same thesis, you can actually do the same thesis. I'm not going to do it here, but the one that I want to talk about today is Solana. So check this Solana. I really like it. This is the weekly of Solana. Okay. So I'm not paying attention to Ethereum, to be honest. I'm paying attention on Solana. So now I know I've been talking about Ethereum for a while, but if you look at, that's why I have this chart here: Ethereum against Bitcoin, Solana against Bitcoin, Solana against ETH, BNB against Bitcoin, and then and so forth. So let's have a look at Solana against ETH. So which one should we be focusing this week, right? So Solana against ETH is at a sort of mean reversion influx point, right? So it looks very, very, if you look at this chart, what do you guys think is going? It has a tendency to bounce. It has a tendency to keep going. What do you reckon it could happen in this, just by looking at the chart?
Well,
And
I
that's
like
the
the way.
and that's the weekly, by the way.
I like the way that this rally seems to be more curling up, whereas the previous rally seems more of a V-shaped reversal. This one seems to be curling up, or I think a phrase I've heard Scott use is melt upwards, but I don't think that's quite right yet. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what makes me feel bullish about this. We can see that we've broken that downtrend, but we
Mm-hmm.
seem to have broken it like a somebody just driving sense.
Correct. Hold on. Sorry. Can you guys hear Ian, or is only me that I'm having issues with my audio?
Well,
Oh, it's Ian. All right. All right. Cool, 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 cool.
you know, rather than somebody like a bad. There's some good comments in here. You,
Hey,
Maurizio,
man,
we can hear you. Oh, yeah.
we
Okay.
we we couldn't hear you. We couldn't hear anything that you said, man. We missed your whole analysis, man. This is not. Oh shit. All right. All right. So this is kind of um a possibility, right? I'm just one good possibility is that we basically reclaim the trend of Solana against Ethereum. So if Solana is going to be stronger than Ethereum, right? Now let's going to have a look Solana against Bitcoin, right? In terms of relative strength. And Solana against Bitcoin is holding, right? Give or take this range, give or take. Let's have a look at Ethereum against Bitcoin, right? Ethereum against Bitcoin is now losing. It's not as strong. You know what I mean? And I'm looking at the weekly here. Can this come back quickly? Yes, it could. But what I'm seeing is that Solana, it could have that breakout. Why? Because I'm seeing relative strength between Solana against Bitcoin and Solana against ETH. Period. Right? Now let's jump into the Solana chart, right? So Solana chart, you can actually see that for the past 2 weeks, it hasn't been able to come down. So I think this could be the first one that will start giving us that indication of a mean reversion trade, right? So I'm actually tempted to actually go in Solana, long Solana. Now, whatever Solana does, I think the market might follow. What that means is, for Bitcoin, we aiming right towards that mean reverse trade towards the 100K, and hopefully it will have continuation. But if Solana decides to break first, then we'll see how this one behaves. You know, and we can probably either keep trades or not. That's kind of we want to see which one is the first one that actually breaks these ranges, and it looks like Solana could be. So and this is going to be very, very positive for alts, right? So any Solana ripping or Ethereum ripping is going to be really good for everything. So looks very, very good, man. Let's have a look at Solana from the CVD perspective. And this is what it makes me really excited. So what do you guys see here? Do you guys see who's driving the market? More than likely, more than likely. So I'm actually very tempted to start opening position. Yeah, Don, I think you're right. Spot on, man. I think you are, man. Uh, yeah, I wish, yeah, man. Definitely, yeah. So, um, so yeah, I think there is like in terms of breakouts, I think Solana could give us a significant breakout, right? Do you want to wait for the breakout or you want to get positioned? So that's kind of when the risk manage happens. So we can start now and add a small risk factor. Let's say that which basically I always do because I don't know if we're gonna break. I don't know if it's gonna bounce. But what the looks of it is we're going to break. So one good trade looks like this, right? You open a trade, risk 0.5%, 1%. Then on the breakout, then you add more risk and things like that, but at least you start positions. That's what happened with virtuals. Virtuals last year, I didn't want to I knew it. I knew it was going to get some sort of relief rally, and virtuals is actually now doing the heavy lifting with small risk. You know what I mean? So that's kind of in terms of risk management. You don't need to go all in, you know, on one position. You just start you could start scaling in and scaling out as well. And, you know, depends of what you want to do. So that's kind of what I'm aiming this week, guys. So yeah, Brad. So Solana, it looks pretty good. So now let's go back to our trades. So let's go back to the perp trades that we took. So XRP, we enter here, still holding, right? Still holding. I'm not gonna move the stop loss. I'm not gonna do anything. That was like this is still low risk, but I wanna add more if we finally had that breakout. If I get stopped out, I get stopped out, so be it. But if we do have that breakout, I would definitely want to add more with tighter risks. You know what I mean? And that's what we're going to capitalize on the bull run, right? So if we if we get a stopped out, so be it. I'm not going to open any shorts because my bias at this moment is long, right? So obviously, shorting the market at this moment is going to fuck it up with is going to fuck up my head. Let's talk about SEC. So SEC, we placed essentially one risk, but I split it into two different sizes, so two different risks. Yeah, this is unfortunate. I will not buy SEC anymore until we get a resolution of what the team is about. Like this, the protocol is good, but there's no developments. So obviously, you know, this changed the narrative in a way. You know what I mean? Like, but then in terms of trend, that look okay. You know, in my view. So yeah, so be it. Let's talk about Arrow. So Arrow is still holding. Yesterday, pretty good. Still good. Obviously, with Arrow, we have this one. I'm planning to add more around these levels here. Planning to add more on Peps and planning to add more on Spot, right? So we have two of these ones. So this one's still holding, still down, still holding. Small risk. I want to increase the risk as soon. Fucking JST was doing fantastically well. He dropped on fucking low liquidity, but it's still holding strength. And the only downside about this one is you could see this liquidity stuff. JST is basically a liquidity pool for TRX. So as long TRX holds, which is doing, which by the way, I'm very tempted to open TRX as well, based on the relative strength. Is doing pretty good, right? And if we do have that breakout on Solana, and I will expect this one come through, and I will expect this beta come through. Why I didn't want to go on Friday on TRX? Because I have already a JST, and these both are very high correlated. You know what I mean? So if I'm wrong, I'll be wrong on two positions. So yeah, our position in virtual is they're doing great. I want to add more on the breakout of that 200 MA, right? So this one, and that leads into what next week I might come back to you guys with more stuff in terms of new projects and things like that, because there's a few narratives that I think they're going to do well, very, very well, okay? So that's basically what we hold, guys, in terms of perps, all right? So still watching everything, you know what I mean? But then I still like hype, to add more on hype, right? Still like, Mantle, I'm planning to buy more spot today. Okay, so this is big. Mantle is one of those things that we can actually get to the lowest of 80s if we crash again, like if we crash or the market goes down. But I really like this one. You want a Filecoin? Let's have a look. Filecoin. Oh, Filecoin looks great, man. So I think I'm going, yeah, let me move this to the top. This one could look really well, man. Let me have a look at this the spaghetti charts. I haven't been really busy doing research this morning, and I haven't even looked at the spaghetti charts. Look at Solana in terms of relative performance. This actually gives me more confidence on my thesis of Solana, right? So obviously we have equities holding a little bit down. I think the strongest horse right now is Solana, as you can actually see. So I think, guys, I'm gonna be opening Solana. So with that being said, Filecoin, right, should be a beneficiary of Solana pumping, okay? And all those probably Retario, probably, whatever Solana ecosystem is out there, it will be a beneficiary Meme coins probably Bonk, probably Popcat perhaps as well, could be stuff like that. Betas of Solana, that's stuff of higher. So Pepe will be Ethereum play. If Ethereum is pumping, I'll be looking to get into Pepe. But right now, because Solana is pumping, I'll be looking to get into any single fucking Solana stuff that I can think of. You know what I mean? I'll look into it more tomorrow. But on the top of my head will be Bonk. Let's see how Bonk is doing. Bonk, Filecoin, of course. Filecoin is one of the biggest beneficiaries of Solana. Bonk as well. Bonk. Interesting. Bonk could look good as well. Let me add that into the list here. I think that's it, guys. Another one that I want to talk about is Deep. So Deep, right, I've been thinking about this one for a while, and I was gonna buy in December, and I didn't. And Deep is this is really volatile. So if you do it with leverage, you have to be mindful in terms of size, and you can get stopped out, right? Probably do it on spot. And the reason why Deep is an interesting one is because it's the liquidity pool of Sui. So as long Sui is holding great, man. I think I'm gonna add more on Sui as well. So these two, they work really, really well. So as long Sui keeps going, Deep will follow, and Deep will follow hard. So Deep more than likely will going to fill that gap, but it could be volatile, right? So because it's no low cap, but it's not a lot of people trading these things. So we have a potential 171% at least on this one, right? So that's why I'm tracking this one very closely. So yeah, a lot of opportunities. Obviously, this is the main ones that I'm focusing on at the moment. And yeah, besides that, essentially, I've been doing some research this morning, and things that I'll be sort of probably by next week, I will have a full list of not long term, at least stuff that we could perform well for the next quarter if we do have a little bit of bull run. And I think the biggest one that I want to focus is AI and AI agents. There is an influx of new AI agents, new development, app builders, shit like that I think that narrative is going to come through. Also doing some research on neo banking, like all this stuff that, like ETFi, all those projects that are DeFi that have your own bank card to spend crypto. I think that's getting really, really hot. Obviously, our perps exchanges and the prediction market platforms, man. Prediction markets platforms are going to fuck. I think that could be one of the biggest ones this year. The new platforms coming along, like like Polymarkets, but different, or other ones that actually take advantage of Polymarkets in order to actually trade tokenized assets on Polymarket. A lot of stuff happening in this. So yeah, just trying to focus on those narratives so we can start getting good opportunities on those ones. Besides that, that's pretty much what I have, man. So stay cool, because I think I'm gonna start opening some positions, man, especially on Solana. I really like what I see in Solana. So yeah. I don't know if you guys have any questions or anything, but yeah. Donna, where are you buying Deep? So obviously I trade at if I do perps, I do Bybit, right? Deep is there. But if you want to buy spot, what you can do is let's have a look. So obviously if you go to CoinGecko, right? And this is how you find where to buy whatever, right? So you go to CoinGecko and you go Deep, right? So it's Deep Book, and scroll down, and this is the centralized exchanges that supports spot. So you pick centralized exchanges, spot, Bybit, KuCoin, Gate, Mexi, LBank. Obviously, you might or you might not have access to this stuff, right? Unfortunately, so it depends on where you are, right? But you can go through all these ones to see crypto.com. Crypto.com is in the US, so you can actually buy there as well. Kraken as well. There you go. Or if you want to trade perpetual, same deal. You click on perpetuals and then Binance being Sumex, XT, Bitcoin, whatever. Yeah, that's kind of how you find where can you buy stuff from, right? But I usually, because I'm in Australia, I'm able to trade on Bybit, and Bybit usually calls spot and pips, so I have no issues with that. Okay. Thanks, Paul, and thanks, Todd. Yep, CPI on Tuesday, so things could get interesting. And obviously, this is going to be the first CPI of the year, but yada, 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 all that other economical stuff that I don't understand, to be honest. Just see how the market reacts to it. But then that's it, guys. So, yeah.
All right.
All
See you
right.
later.
So, see you guys, and see you guys next week.